Good morning, and thank you all for being here today. My name is Greg Horton, and I'm the president of the Ontario Professional Firefighters Association. I'm excited and honored to be here today to discuss the OPFFA's support for Premier Doug Ford. The OPFFA has a proud history of supporting those who support firefighters and support fire and life safety. And under the leadership of Doug Ford, this government has been steadfast in that commitment. Premier Ford and his government have worked shoulder to shoulder with fire service stakeholders on the following: implementing mandatory training certification standards for firefighters across this province, increasing presumptive legislation coverage by adding pancreatic and thyroid cancer, reducing latency periods on esophageal cancer, skin cancer, kidney cancer, and eliminating the age 61 provision for colorectal cancer. Funding province-wide implementation of simultaneous notification to improve response times and eliminate the delay between EMS and fire communication centers. Allocating funding from the Skills Development Program for critical fireground survival training, including vehicles, props, certifying over 70 OPFFA members who will go out across the province and deliver this critical training to our members. Utilizing funds from the Skills Development Fund to assist municipalities, building 5 new training centers that will certify 28,000 firefighters over the next 5 years. These firefighters will go out and they will help address the emerging response coverage needed across this great province as we continue to grow. Establishing the Fire Protection Grant to support cancer initiatives and prevention, allowing us to have funding upgrades in our fire stations, in our protection systems that will help us eradicate cancer from the fire service. Launching the mental health supports for public safety personnel programming, specializing in firefighting, and allowing 21 OPFFA members to receive peer support training for peer support resilience programs. Strongly supporting the Runnymede Health Center's post-traumatic stress injury clinic, allowing us to break ground on this critical service needed across this province for all first responders, to keep them healthy, to keep them in the community, serving those in those communities, and to allow us to be healthy with our families. Investing in the Ontario Immediate Family Wellness Program for all first responders, the families of the first responders that are lost in the line of duty or by suicide will have immediate rapid access to bereavement counseling. Maintaining open communication with the OPFFA, with our locals, and with our membership to understand and address the issues that are facing the fire service across this province. Premier Ford and his government have taken the time to listen and to understand the unique challenges facing firefighters in the province of Ontario. They have taken action to ensure public safety is met and that our members' health and safety needs are met. I'm honored today to announce that the Ontario Professional Firefighter Association Board of Directors has unanimously voted to endorse Premier Doug Ford and his leadership of the Ontario Progressive Party in the upcoming 2025 election. Premier, you have the confidence of the OPFFA, and we know that you will continue to work to address fire and life safety in the province of Ontario. Please join me in welcoming Doug Ford to the podium.
Well, good morning, everyone, and I just want to thank you, Greg. Thank you for your very kind words, and Bob, thank you for being here as well. Along with a team of firefighters, they're absolute champions, and I always say I will always have their backs. And I want to say thanks to my Ontario PC candidates for also being here today. David Piccini, another champ that worked with the firefighters for a long time, ever since becoming the Minister of Labour, from Northumberland, Peterborough South. So great to see you, David. And hometown gal, Christine Hogarth from Etobicoke Lakeshore. It's just great to have both team members here. I'm honored to have the endorsement of the Ontario Professional Firefighter Association. Their first endorsement in nearly 15 years, and their first endorsement ever of our PC team. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it. Thank you. Ontario's firefighters are second to none. Every day they put their lives on the line for us. They suit up and run straight into danger, right into fires. And again, thank you. It's truly inspiring. And I'll tell you, we could all use a little bit of that firefighter bravery right now. Before here in Ontario and across Canada, we're entering in a really challenging time. Some of the toughest we've ever faced. Tomorrow, President Trump's tariffs against Canada go into effect. And I'm just so disappointed in him. I'm so disappointed that he's chosen to walk away from a trading relationship that for decades has made life better for millions of workers on both sides of the border. I wish we weren't here. I wish Ontario and Canada were working together with our American friends and allies, working together to make Canada and the U.S. the richest, most successful, safest, most secure two countries on the planet. Instead, President Trump has chosen to move forward with his tariffs. Tariffs that will hurt America and make Americans poorer. They'll see inflation, they'll see interest rates go up, they'll see less money in their pockets. Now, Canada has no choice but to hit back and hit back hard. As Premier of Ontario, the federal government has my full support for a strong and forceful response. Tariff for tariff, dollar for dollar. If Canada is going to win this fight, we need to respond together. Everything needs to be on the table. Everyone needs to share in the burden. We have so much of what America needs, so much of what their economy and military depend on. Whether it's our high-grade nickel right here in Ontario that everyone in the world wants, that they use for manufacturing, they use for their military, and other critical minerals across the board, energy and electricity, uranium, potash, and aluminum. We need to maximize our points of leverage and use them for maximum impact. Tomorrow, the LCBO, which sells nearly $1 billion worth of American beer, wine, spirits, and seltzers every year, will remove all U.S. products from its shelves and wholesale catalog. Starting today and until U.S. tariffs are removed, Ontario is banning American companies from provincial contracts. Every year, the Ontario government and its agencies spend $30 billion in procurement, alongside our $200 billion plan to build Ontario. And I'm urging all 444 municipalities to do the same. U.S.-based businesses will now lose out on tens of billions of dollars in new revenues. They only have President Trump to blame. We've gone one step further. We'll be ripping up our contract with Elon Musk's Starlink. Ontario won't do business with people hell-bent on destroying our economy. Friends, there's no sugarcoating it. The coming days and weeks will be incredibly difficult. Trump's tariffs are going to devastate our economy. These tariffs will put up to 450,000 jobs at risk from every sector and every region. No one will be immune. Everyone will feel the impact. With your support, with a strong, stable 4-year mandate that will outlive and outlast the Trump administration, I will stop at nothing to keep you safe. I will do whatever it takes to protect Ontario. I'll invest tens of billions of dollars to retrain workers for new opportunities, to retool companies for new customers, to reshore supply chains and rebuild roads and highways to create new jobs. I'll make the tough choices to make Ontario's economy the most competitive place to invest, create jobs, and do business. That's why I'm asking for your vote on February 27th, to build Ontario's economy, to protect workers, to keep us competitive, clean up our streets, and deliver better care. President Trump is trying to break Canada. He thinks he can divide and conquer. He doesn't know what we know. Canada is not for sale. None of us want to be in this situation. As your premier, time and time again, I've witnessed the best of our province and our people. We've faced this kind of challenge before. We've always emerged stronger, more united, and more determined than ever. Once again, we will answer the call. Together, We will meet this moment. We will stand united. We'll stand strong. Together, we will protect Ontario. Thank you so much, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
We will now open the floor for questions from the media. Please come to the mic and state your name and outlet. Just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up. First question.
Liam Casey with the Canadian Press. Morning, Doug.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How
Good.
are you?
Good.
You're making announcements about actions you're taking as Premier to fight tariffs, then campaigning on those very same actions hours later as PC leader. Are you using your government announcements to boost your re-election campaign?
No, not at all. I'm here as Premier to protect the people of Ontario. I'm going to do everything I can to protect their jobs, protect people, protect communities, protect businesses, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
On the Starlink deal, can you actually cancel the Starlink deal right now, or do you have to wait until a new government is formed
No,
after the election?
we haven't paid a penny. I think it starts in June, the contract. But I'm not going to support someone that is hell-bent on destroying our province, destroying people's families, taking jobs away from them. We're done with that. We never started this fight whatsoever, but we're going to win this fight.
Premier Sean Jefford, CBC News.
Hi, Sean.
Just wanted to ask you about the Starlink deal as well. Is this really about poking Elon Musk in the eye and making President Trump's friends feel pain during this process?
Well, President Trump is the only person to be blamed. Maybe Elon Musk can call his buddy, and this is one of the ramifications. This is the ramifications when we stop selling $1 billion worth of liquor. And that goes across the country. A lot of premiers have called me up and said they're doing exactly the same. Tim Houston is doing it, and other provinces are doing it, and I encourage them to do it. I think this is a Team Canada approach. We have to stay united, and we have to make sure that we protect, in our case, Ontario jobs and Canadian jobs. That's what this is about.
We also understand that Cabinet, prior to the dissolution of government, passed an economic action plan. To this point, you've been hesitant to release any details of that. Now that the tariffs are officially in place, will you do that? Can you tell us what is in that plan?
Well, I know Caroline Mulroney and Peter Bethlenfalvy before the election, obviously President of Treasury, Finance Minister, but we made a massive announcement with SDF funding, over $1 billion to retrain people. And a lot of that money and other areas will go to tradespeople, go to the firefighters to retrain firefighters as well. We need to keep the money here. That's on top of the $1.5 billion of SDF funding that we had prior to this. So again, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure we secure and protect Ontario jobs. And on top of that, there's $30 billion of procurement that we just aren't going to use American companies. And no matter if we're building a hospital, if we're building anything, we could be building a doghouse, I want to make sure that we're using Ontario steel, Canadian products, Canadian wood, Ontario wood, anything. I don't care if it's a toothpick. We need to purchase from Canada and Ontario. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And I'm encouraging all 444 municipalities to do exactly the same. We're spending $200 billion on infrastructure, building the roads. I need every single stone, every piece of gravel, every piece of rebar that goes into these highways bought by Ontario companies. That's the number one priority. If we can't get in Ontario, then we'll focus across Canada. That's what we're going to do to protect the people of Ontario, protect jobs here, and protect the communities.
Good morning, Rob Ferguson, Toronto Star.
Hi, Rob.
Hello. Just wanted to ask, with all this going on, so much turmoil, wasn't it reckless to call an early election? You can't do anything really right now.
Well, I totally disagree. I just pulled off $1 billion from LCBO shelves of U.S. products. We're making sure that all procurements, $30 billion. This is 25 days left, Rob. You know, this gives us a strong 4-year mandate to outlive and outlast the Trump administration. People want certainty. I'm out in the international media every single day. I was on Fox, going on CNN, going back on Fox. What I'm doing, I'm getting the message out to the American people. President Trump, this was a misguided decision that he's making. With all the turmoil going around the entire world, and he wants to spend his time and effort attacking his closest friend and his treasured ally, and he wants to come after us. It's not the American people, by the way. I speak to a lot of Americans. I speak to a lot of elected officials. I have yet to hear one official, one American citizen saying, Canada's the problem. Do you know what the problem is? China's the problem, bringing in cheap goods into Mexico, slapping on Made in Mexico stickers, shipping them up into Canada, costing American and Canadian jobs. That has to end. We need to protect Canada, but doesn't it make common sense that if you want to create a fortress, create an AMCAN fortress, when China is actually cutting them off on their critical minerals and they have nowhere to go, they're going to be coming to Ontario to get those critical minerals, no matter if it's cobalt or lithium or nickel and every other critical mineral that we have. We have the largest mining sector in the world. And with the trade show coming, PDAC, everyone in the world is coming to Ontario in the next week or so.
But we could be in a situation by the end of the week where, according to people in the auto parts industry, like Linda Hasenfratz at Linamar, that auto parts companies and auto assembly plants could be shut down by the end of the week because of this, and you'll be basically handcuffed for another 3 weeks because there's no election, presuming you win the election.
Well, let's say we're going to do everything we can as we're standing here. If any emergencies come, I'll reconvene cabinet. That's not an unusual request. But the most important thing is making sure we get the message down to the U.S. I'm going to be heading down there with a team of premiers on the 11th and 12th, heading back there on the 20th. I'm on the phone every single day with elected officials and companies in the U.S. And again, all they're saying, this is not good. It's going to create inflation. It's going to make Americans poor. This is a tax on American citizens. That's what Donald Trump is doing to his own people.
Good morning, Mark McAllister from City News.
Hi, Mark.
You've been continually talking about Fortress AMCAN.
Yes.
Meetings with your U.S. counterparts. At what point do you admit that this idea has failed?
Well, number one, I think we've just begun, so I don't look at failure. Some people look at failure. I believe in never, ever give up. We never give up. We never give up as a province, as a people. We never give up as Canadians. We're tough as nails, we're resilient, and we're proud. And that goes a long way. And when we start buying everything Canadian, and a message to all our retailers, I've talked to a few of them, on your shelves, on your shelf talker, you need to put the Canadian flag with a product on top. Let the people decide if they're going to buy American goods or Canadian goods. We can make anything here in Canada, and if we don't make it, we will make it. Because the ingenuity and the technology is second to none in the world. We will build anything here in Canada. So to the retailers, we need to start marking, number one, the packaging, but number two, on the shelves until Canadians, Ontarians have a choice. And that should be not just in Ontario, right across the country.
Building here and purchasing here sounds a lot like what Donald Trump is saying about the U.S. How much more is it going to cost this province and the government here to have to keep everything and buy everything from this country?
Well, we do $500 billion of two-way trade. Ontario is the third largest trading partner in the world to the United States. We can be more competitive. We start building here and people are buying from here, there is no tariff. So it's pretty common sense. It's like business, 1, 2, 3. Like this is common sense, folks. You buy and manufacture here, there are no tariffs. We can compete against anyone in the entire world. We have the greatest, the smartest people anywhere in the world, no matter if it's the technology or if it's the EV sector or the life science sector or the manufacturing sector. Just think, last year alone, because of these businesses out there, they created over 200,000 jobs last year alone. Since we've been in office, there's 850,000 more people working today than there was 7 years ago. Let's go back 7 years ago when the Liberals, propped up by the NDP, chased 300,000 jobs out of this province. Now we're back. We're back, and we're going to continue growing nonstop. We are an economic powerhouse. Keep in mind, yes, the U.S. is our #1 trading partner, but we have partnerships, tariff-free shipments to 51 other countries. We need to expand our scope. We need to start shipping stuff around the world to the 51 countries that we have a tariff-free agreement with. That's powerful, and we're going to use every tool we can. We need to start building pipelines, energy east, out west, up north, to get our oil out around the world, and so we aren't reliant on the U.S. That's what we need to do. We need to broaden our base, and we're going to focus on doing that.
Good morning. Catherine DeClercq, the Trillium. Are there going to be any penalties to breaking this Starlink contract?
I think we have a great case. He broke a deal. He broke a trade deal. And I think we have a very, very good case if it goes to court. So even in that case, you know, I don't care if there's a fine or whatever, but I think we're going to win it. This is principle. You know, he's part of the Trump team that wants to destroy families' incomes, destroy businesses. He wants to take food off the table of people, hardworking people, and I'm not going to tolerate it. I'll do whatever it takes to protect Ontario, protect the people, protect the jobs and the communities here.
You've said in the past that you're willing to turn off the lights if tariffs are imposed. Is that coming soon?
Every tool in our toolbox is available. I hope it doesn't come to that. Do you know what I hope? I hope this all straightens out and they say we need more electricity. You know, we're an energy powerhouse around the world. We're leading in nuclear energy anywhere in the world. We're building first small modular reactors anywhere in the world. And we're going to continue doing that and selling it to the world. We made a big deal with Poland for the SMRs, $100 billion. So there's more countries rather than the United States. But I would love to continue dealing with the U.S. and building a Can-Am fortress.
Good morning, Mr. Ford. Richard Southern, 680 News Radio. The Financial Accountability Office recently found that your government's decision to move a number of Service Ontario outlets into staple stores is costing Ontarians money. But money aside, in light of the announcement you made this morning, I'm wondering, will you rip up the contract with that company and with the American companies that are contracted to work on the Ontario line?
Well, you know something? Staples employs people here. It gives people convenience. So when the other outlets closed at 5 o'clock and opened at 9 o'clock, Staples is open at 10 o'clock. I've had numerous calls how the convenience is. But Staples employs thousands and thousands of people. Last time I checked, Richard, Starlink doesn't employ that many people here, I'll tell you that. But thank you for that question.
Thank you. I understand you haven't spoken or met with the U.S. president, but can you tell us at any point in the last 2.5 months, have you actually gone to Mar-a-Lago?
No, not at all. But thanks for that. I'm not much of a golfer. And then when I do golf, I always slice the ball to the right, just like my politics. Yeah. Go ahead. So.
Hi, Émilie Goujon-Pelletier with Le Droit. Going back on the Staples Service Ontario, your statement says, starting today and until U.S. tariffs are removed, Ontario is banning American companies from provincial contracts. This is a provincial contract with an American company, so how can you explain this?
Their Canadian headquarters is based right here in Ontario, so they're employing thousands of people. They're buying thousands of products. You can't compare apples and oranges.
Okay, and you have a lot of interviews planned with U.S. media.
Yes.
You're talking to Americans, and what do you tell Ontarians who wonder whether you're campaigning more in America than in Ontario right now?
Well, there's no doubt the deal right now is with these tariffs. And to say that I'm campaigning hard right now in Ontario and Etobicoke and every region in this province. I'm going to hit every single corner from east to west to north to south. I'm going to hit every single community. I'm going to listen to the people and hear what they have to say. But the audience on these tariffs are going to come from the U.S. citizens putting pressure on President Trump. When they start getting layoff notices, when they see inflation go up, you know, that's when all heck breaks loose down in the U.S. So I'm going to keep pounding the pavement with our message down to our U.S. friends and allies. Again, I don't believe for a second that the majority of them support this. Everyone I talk to, they love Canadians. We love Americans. And let's build a stronger two nations by an AmCan fortress. And that's what we're going to be selling.
Hey, Barbara with QP Briefing.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi. I just want to ask, so the Premiers have been talking about removing interprovincial trade barriers in
Yes.
response to the U.S. tariffs. Is this something you would consider doing as well?
As chair, I've been trying to chair this time, but even before that, I've been trying to do it. A little bit of protectionism goes up around the country, but I have strong confidence. I know one of the premiers, there's 3 or 4 of them, Tim Houston, the premier of Nova Scotia, a good friend, a very close ally. He's going to be leading the charge. I'm going to be there to support him 1,000%. The rules have changed now, folks. We're in an economic war. We have to take down the barriers. We know that's going to add another anywhere from $50 billion to $100 billion to our GDP. And when people are going down the aisle, as I said earlier, on the retail stores, I've never seen patriotism like this in our country. It's brought us together like never before. And you're seeing 2 bags of cookies, U.S. and Canadian. Buy the Canadian ones. And God only knows I've eaten enough cookies in my days, so I'll be buying more Canadian cookies.
And would you end any preferential treatment for Ontario businesses in procurement as well, like for example in purchasing alcohol, and also perhaps consider expanding it to all Canadian producers as well?
Yeah, well, it's going to allow more shelf space now for great Ontario-made spirits and seltzers and ready-to-drink and beer. There's going to be more shelf space for them. And I encourage the LCBO to buy Ontario products, if not Ontario Canadian products. We have great wines and liquors right here in Ontario.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Ford. Colin DeMello from
Hi,
Global
Colin.
News. You've centered your campaign around tariffs.
Yes.
Your slogan is Protect Ontario. Are you saying that if you are reelected, that the tariffs will come off?
Well, I can't speak for President Trump. We're going to do everything we can as a country and all 13 premiers to go down there and convince them this is a bad idea. But in the meantime, we're going to support each other. We're going to support other provinces and Ontario products. And we're going to really emphasize that, like I said, the grocery retailers, but the other big retailers like the Home Depots and the Canadian Tires have massive buying power. And if you can't get your product, call us and we'll find someone that will manufacture it at a competitive cost.
But you have positioned yourself as some of your own ministers have said in the past, as Captain Canada.
Yes.
What does it say to people, though, if you yourself can't actually get a meeting with Trump, can't actually get tariffs taken off? What really are you protecting?
Well, I'm protecting Ontario. I'm protecting Canada. You know, Colin, I think I've been out there. I've been voicing my opinion pretty loud across the country. I don't dictate where Mr. Trump or who he meets. Could have I went to Mar-a-Lago and stand there and wait until he comes down for breakfast and lunch and then jump in front of him and say, hi, how you doing? I'm Doug Ford. He knows who I am. He knows very clearly. I've heard numerous times. Let him deal with the Prime Minister, the President, and hopefully they can work things out. But we're an economic powerhouse. He knows we're an economic powerhouse. We have a bullseye on our back because we're so powerful in the economy and manufacturing. Matter of fact, not last year, we came close last year. Year before that, we created more manufacturing jobs than all 50 U.S. states combined. That's a good thing. That's a good thing for Americans because 9 million Americans wake up every morning to produce products for Ontarians alone. Just 9 million. But those 9 million might be getting the pink slip saying, now, since there's a trade war going on, we're going to have to lay you off because we aren't going to be buying any more of your products up here in Ontario to the best of our ability. I know there's some things we may have no choice, but there's a lot of things we do have a choice. Buy Ontario made, buy Canadian made. We need to stick together.
Hi, Mr. Ford. Siobhan Morris, CTV News. The deal that Ontario had signed with Starlink back in the fall, is that something that you did to try and curry favor with Elon Musk, who does have Donald Trump's ear?
I have no, people think I sit in my corner office and do that. I don't. That's through infrastructure. Our goal is to bring broadband and internet across our province. We're spending $4.2 billion. They go out, they make the deal, and a Canadian company didn't have the infrastructure ready after I looked into it, after the deal's signed. They couldn't do it for another 2 more years, so we're going to wait 2 more years for 15,000 people in the far north. But we're going to continue putting internet connections, right across our province, which has never been done before. We're spending $4.2 billion creating more jobs, doing that as well.
And I'm wondering, in your role as chair of the Council of the Federation, have you been briefed at all this morning about the Prime Minister's call with President Trump and what you read into them having a second call this afternoon?
No, I haven't. I was briefed yesterday, but I wasn't briefed this morning, but I'll be briefed by the end of this day on what happened.
Bonjour, Jérémy Bergeron avec Radio-Canada. So we just learned a couple minutes ago that Mexican president says that tariffs are posed for a month from now, at least for Mexico. Do you hope that we can kind of have the same agreement today with Canada? Do you hope that we can pose a tariff as well?
I hope so. I absolutely hope so. We're their number one customer. We're the number one export destination. Here in Ontario to 17 states, number 2 to 11 others. In Canada, we're the number one export destination to 28 states. We're their largest customers. So I always say, we're no Mexico. It's not against the Mexican people, but we aren't taking parts from China and putting made in Mexico stickers on and shipping them up through the United States. And there's precursors that are coming in from China, going into Mexico, you know, the fentanyl, and then gets run up through America into Canada. So we're no Mexico, I'll tell you that.
But realistically, do you think that Canada can have an agreement?
I hope so. I really hope so. We're doing everything we can. We're working governor to premier, premier to senator and congress people, and all premiers are doing it. They're reaching out to their counterparts, and we're doing our job. And I know the Prime Minister is doing his job by contacting President Trump today and later this afternoon. That decision President Trump has made is so misguided. He underestimates the power and the will and the fortitude of Canadians. It's nothing, there's no other country like it. And we're their closest trading partner and ally. You know, it wasn't a couple of months ago when there was a hurricane going through North Carolina and Florida. All their hydro lines were down. Who were the first to step up? We were the first to step up. We sent hydro crews down to North Carolina, helped them out, went down to Florida. Then when the wildfires, 300 of our greatest urban firefighters, matter of fact, Greg told me they had more firefighters volunteering than we had spaces. And then we sent the water bombers, and that's what I love about these guys and gals. They're first to jump up and say, we're going to help. Unfortunately, I guess they ran out of water. That's a whole other story in California. We aren't going to be running out of water in Ontario, but it just shows the character of firefighters here in Ontario. They put their hand up and saying, I'm going to go help a family member. And we look at the U.S. as family members. And family members don't stab other family members in the back, and that's exactly how I feel.
This will be the last reporter.
Hey, Premier. Laura Stone, Globe and
Laura.
Mail.
How you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Back to the Starlink deal. You said, we'd have a good case in court and there might be a fine, but I mean, surely you can't just rip up a $100 million contract with no consequences. So can you tell us how much this is going to be costing taxpayers?
Well, again, I go by principle here. We haven't made any payments at all. If he takes us to court, we didn't break the rules of our agreement, the USMCA deal. They did. I never believe in starting a fight, but I believe in winning the fight. So that's just one step, and there's many more coming. You know, that's a small drop in the bucket, the $100 million. It sends a message to President Trump, but there's many more. We have $30 billion of procurement, and I don't care if it's a cracker or a toothpick. We're going to do everything we can within that realm to manufacture it if we don't have it, or to purchase it from Ontario-made companies. Again, we can build anything in the entire world here.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
You've previously voiced support or admiration, I suppose, for Donald Trump. Do you still consider yourself a Trump supporter?
Absolutely not.
Can you expand on that?
It's just so disappointing. I'm sure there's millions of Canadians that thought, okay, this might be a good change down in the U.S. It's been a disaster. I'd never support that guy in my entire life. He goes up and just stabs you right in the heart. Forget that. We're supposed to be his closest ally, his closest friend. You know, it's terrible what he's trying to, unprovoked, by the way. We aren't the bad guys. You know, maybe other countries, maybe China, maybe Mexico. You treat, you slap China on the wrist, 10% and hurting us? Absolutely not. Never support that guy again, ever.
This is the end
Not
of...
that I had the right to support him anyways, because I'm not a U.S. citizen, so
Thank you. This concludes today's press conference.
thank you.